Theodore Roosevelt once said, "The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who at best, if he wins, knows the thrills of high achievement, and if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly."
I find that if you fill your day and your mind with productive things, the negative things are no space.
Okay, when we started our podcast, Coaching Chronicles, we really wanted to invite the champion coaches. As you know, in our first episode, we had Coach Tim Cone, PBA Asian Games champion. And then in episode 5, we had Coach Yuri Escueta, the NCAA champion. Today, we have for this episode, the UAAP champion, Michael Christopher Topex Robinson. 47 years old, very young coach. There's a lot of things about him that we do not know, that's not generally known, but we're going to allow him to tell that story. From our point, from where I sit, I've checked out and been watching the career of Topex, starting from when he was a player from San Sebastian. He played in the PBA for 8-9 years, and then became an assistant coach with Alaska with Coach Tim before getting head coaching stints with Phoenix, and then now with the De La Salle University. Obviously, he also had a stint in the NCAA with the Lyceum Pirates. So I've been watching the career of Coach Topex, and like I said, he just won the most recent UAP Seniors crown, and we're very delighted to have him in our guest to talk as our guest to talk about the lessons he has learned throughout his relatively young coaching career, and more importantly, the adversities that he had to go through. So, welcome, Coach. Maraming salamat. Thank you. We've been trying to get you for the longest time, but you're a very busy person. Yeah.
Yes,
you just came from a tournament, right? Can
Yes,
you
Coach.
tell us about
Yes,
the
first, thank you for inviting me over, and I like
Pleasure.
the color of your shirt.
Well, if you haven't noticed, I think this is my only green outfit. I wore green for the De La Salle champion coach
Yeah,
that
thank
we
you,
have
Coach.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we just got back from Japan. It was a good experience for us, for a young team. So we did the basketball, and also we did a lot of bonding, with the players. And it's really nice, really preparation for our upcoming season.
So that the tournament was
It's a World University Basketball League.
Uh-huh.
So it comprised of college teams in Asia, and in I think one in Australia. So it's a nice venue for us to really see how college basketball is, not only here in the Philippines but also across the world.
I've always believed that you always have to go out and compete against teams that you haven't had an opportunity to play against. That's the only way to really grow and to improve. So this formed an integral part of your preparation for the upcoming UAP season, right? Yes.
I think, Coach, it's a place for us to see which players are gonna make it. That's part of it, and finding the right combination. Just like what you mentioned, challenges are you're facing a team that you have no idea about. So
Correct.
it's really like testing the unknown, and then trying to find out ways to really be productive still with that kind of situation or setup.
Yes. Before going into the current season, we always start our podcasts with a brief background of our guests. So tell us, I mean, a lot of people know you played in San Sebastian, you went on to be an assistant coach and then becoming head coach. But even before that, tell us a little bit about who Michael Christopher is. Yeah.
Coach, I mean, it might take us a while, but
okay.
I
We
guess
have a lot of
I was born and raised in Subic. That's where I came from. That's where I traced my roots, and I guess my basketball took me from Guam to Manila. I didn't really directly went from Subic or Olongapo to Manila, but I was.
So
I went
you
to
were
Guam.
born in Subic, and
Yes.
then you went to Guam because
My dad wanted me to join the Navy. actually, because my dad was a retired U.S. Navy.
So
when
he
was still alive.
was he stationed in Guam?
No, he was
Because
stationed in Subic, but during that time, Coach, that was back in 1995. There were no more US bases here in Subic. So the nearest that I could go through is Guam, because that's where one of the US bases are. So there's a funny story, Coach. My dad, all the while, thought that I was already in the Navy. But, because during that time, there's no internet,
Communication,
nowhere,
yeah.
knowing where you're at. But when I was there, I played in a tournament. It's a commercial league, Filipino tournament. And I played there, and the coach there, which is up to now one of my fathers, Coach Carlos Buhain, he told me if I'm interested to play in the Philippines.
And your father was where? When you
My
were
dad
in
was
Guam?
in Subic because
In
he was a
Subic,
retired
okay.
Navy.
Wala siyang idea, naglalaro.
Never came back to the
You see?
US.
That's
after
something that we
retiring.
don't know. Yan, hindi nyo makikita yan sa Google. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
this what happened. Sabi niya, punta ka ng San Beda. Kasi he knows somebody there. So I said, okay. So I went there. But before my visit to San Beda, I have a friend, Rolly Basilides.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, si Rolly.
The player, yeah,
he
player. He played
coached,
for you,
he played for you. And during that time, he was with San Sebastian.
Okay.
And so I went there to visit Rolly, and then when I came there, Coach Turo saw me and he said, "Oh, saan ka pupunta?" Sabi ko, "Coach, magta-try po ako sa San Beda." I have no idea during that time what San Sebastian was. I know there was a basketball team, but I didn't knew during that time that they were the champions. I mean, that was the time.
Oh, yun, yung malakas na San Sebastian,
Rodney Santos was the guy. So I played there, and then lo and behold, he told me, Coach Turo and Coach Bay Cristobal told me, "Oh, wag ka na pumunta dyan sa San Beda, dito ka na lang." So since yun na yun, sabi ko, guys, doon na. I stayed there, and then fortunate enough to be part of that 5P champion.
Yeah.
And that's how I started my basketball career. And talking about adversities, Coach, I entered the PBA draft 2001.
Okay.
That was the time that the PBA was the first time yata that there were so many draftees. Fortunately, I was picked 47.
44 in the third round. Ka,
Yeah,
Third round
so
selection,
I mean, I got picked by Tanduay, but didn't really had a chance to play. So I went back to the PBL and tried my stuff there. I went to the NBA.
You played San Juan Knights. And
Yeah,
NBA,
actually, yes, I did play for San Juan Knights, but that was before I played for Shark. So under Coach Leo Austria back then. So roller coaster experience, Coach, and I finally got my chance to play in the PBA 2003.
Okay.
This was when Jimwell Torion was suspended.
Yep.
And
I
yeah,
remember.
Coach Yeng Giao was made nagpa-try
Red Bull,
out.
sa Red
Yeah,
Bull,
Red
yeah.
Bull with Coach Yeng. So nagpa-try out siya, and there were about 5 or 6 of us na nag-try out. Si Lino Cruz was there, Egay Billones I think was there. So it was a tryout. I mean, that was the opportunity I was waiting for, talking about my coaching, my playing career. They offered me a 3-month contract, Coach, because that was the only time they thought that Jimwell will be out.
Okay.
Never really even look at the contract, just signed it. And sabi ko nga, I'm just the opportunity to play in the PBA.
So talk us through that initial adversity that you went through. So
It
you
was hard,
tried for the
Coach.
PBA, you didn't make it. So what were your
just kept on playing. I always told myself then, kasi sabi ko, I was invested in this na eh. I mean, wala na akong babalikan. Parang yun na yung ano ko. Kasi my dad, I mean, I was really, so wala na akong parang, I was really stuck.
So you're here already sa Manila. Alam na ng father mo.
It took a while because during that time, Coach, di ba, Jaryo pa lang eh.
Okay.
So parang his friends was telling him, "Oh, is this your son?" Ganito. Kasi before, Coach, di ba, ano lang eh, tabloid or ano.
Yeah,
And then,
oo.
Stags, Robinson, minsan Zero, Robinson, yung mga ganong kwento. So my dad wasn't sure, but my mom knew I was here. And she was the one who just was trying to support me. And then until my dad finally realized that, I really wanted to play basketball.
Okay.
So that's really how it started. And going back now to Red Bull, just waiting for that opportunity, Coach, that was really what I was really just looking for that. Kasi nga, coach, you're a point guard. You know how hard it is for us. Ang daming point guard dito sa Pilipinas. Araw-araw may pinapanganak na point guard.
yeah.
So I know the competition was really hard. That's why I told myself, what can I do to make myself valuable with what I have?
Okay.
And during that time, it was just hustle. I played against you, coach. You know my tendency. Kumbaga, you make me guard, pinapabantay mo sa akin yung walang depensa na magaling. Kasi alam na hindi naman ako kailangan depensahan. But those were the things that was really hard for me. But sabi ko nga, I will just try to outwork everybody on the team. And lo and behold, I was given 5 more years with Red Bull, or even 6 with that 3-month contract.
Okay.
And that's really how my career as a basketball player, a professional basketball player, really started.
So let's pause there, because I think that's a very crucial lesson for all of the aspiring players, especially the young ones. You can't be a superstar right away. Not everyone is blessed with the skills, the talent, the height, right? The natural ability, the athletic ability, but everyone has the capacity to hustle, to work hard. So what was your demeanor? What was your thinking when you were hardly playing? Well, let's be blunt. When you were a bench warmer, ano ang dapat thinking ng bench warmer ng bangko? Kasi, there's a lot who might be listening.
Coach, ang I think, pinaka-importante is you always have to be ready. What's your advantage being on the bench? Nakikita mo yung nangyayari sa court.
Correct.
So you cannot, you should know, what's happening, because you'll never know.
You should know what the defense is, what's the coverage.
During timeouts, you have to be attentive kasi you'll never know, bigla kang tawagin eh.
Yes.
That opportunity that's waiting on you might happen at a time that you're not ready. Okay. So I always kept myself ready and always really, really listening attentively to what coaching was saying, to everything that coaching says. And habi ko, para pag tinawag niya ako, ready na ako. Kumbaga, yun lang yung hinihintay ko.
So that's when during game, how about your approach to practice? Because, and this is really true, it's easy to practice. You go hard, you take your reps, your shots, because you'll be shooting and you'll touch the ball a lot of times in the game. But it's really hard to come to practice every morning, gigising ka, you'll do the extra work, knowing that you might not even play. So what is that kind of, ibang motivation yun but that's very different. So how does that?
Coach, it's really hard kasi it's really something that has to be, not taught to you eh. Kasi coach, di ba, basketball.
Walang drill for that eh,
yes,
di ba?
Coach, eh. Tsaka, di ba, ang basketball player, ang kilala lang yung sikat eh, yung first five, di ba coach? You know the feeling. And sabi ko, paano mangyayari sa akin? I'll never be that guy. I know I wasn't as gifted as a Jimwell Torion. I'll never be as better as a Junti Valenzuela. But ang sabi ko nga, ano yung hindi nila ginagawa? So I said, I'll focus on ano bang meron ako. What I have is speed. That the athleticism a bit. So sabi ko, I'll just concentrate on that. And I think one of the things, coach, that I would always tell even my players now is just to run your own race. Kasi ang hirap nung meron kang kinakaingitan, which is normal to us. I guess meron tayo palaging, before coach, it came to a point, sabi ko before, sana ma-injured to para ako naman. I'm sure a lot of players could relate.
That's just real talk,
Yeah, sabi ko, but it came to a point that I got tired of sabi ko, I have to find another venue wherein I could be valuable. And I said nga, ang focus ko palagi, coach, is sino ba yung pinakamagaling sa kabila.
Okay.
Sabi ko, yun yung aaralin ko.
Yes.
Sabi ko, or the latter part of my career, coach, it came to a point that I will make my teammate better.
Yes.
And that's one of the things then I'll share with you later with how I got into Alaska during my last playing years. But it's all about how can I add value to this team that doesn't really need me. Parang ganun, pandagdag ko lang, coach eh. Like realistically, my career I was the 12th, the 13th, the 14th, the 15th guy. That was me, and I've embraced it because I'm just so blessed and fortunate enough to make it in the PBA.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can read all the books you want. You can listen to the lectures and the podcasts about people saying how important it is to work hard, perseverance, and all of those values. There's nothing wrong with that. But to hear it from someone who actually went through it, and I think some lessons are jumping out right away. Number one, like Coach Topex said, always be ready. Number two, take a look at how you can contribute. How can you add value to your team? And I think that leads to number three, which is what are your team skills? And I'm sure that's very, like Topex said at the start, he was focused only on how he could get his own playing time na sana ma-injure yung kakampi niya. But later, that evolved into, okay, how can I make my teammates better? And those are golden lessons for anyone who wants to be a part of any team in any sport, and even in business and in work. I think the lessons of be ready, how can you add value, and how can you make your teammates better? I think if you're able to imbibe those skills, then I think you're going to be a very valuable part of any team in sports or in business. So I think that's checkpoint kagad sa atin yun, because that's a very big lesson that we can that our audience can learn from. So Red Bull, how did you find your way to Coach Tim sa Alaska?
It was so that was 2006 where I think, or 7, where I ended my career with Red Bull, and I went to Pure Foods.
Yes.
So we played them a couple of times during the 2006 season. So Coach Ryan was my neighbor also. So when he found out that I'm available, sabi niya, punta ka sa akin. So that's where I ended up with Magnolia for 1 year. And my stint there wasn't as successful as I was hoping it to be. So nawalan ako ng contract when nawalan ako ng team when my contract expired with Magnolia. And eto na ngayon, I went back to the US, coach. And sabi ko nung time na yon, I think I'm okay na. Sabi ko, I won a championship with Red Bull. We've been to the finals. Sabi ko, I think I'm fortunate enough to have 5 or 6 years or 7 of my PBA. Sabi ko, I have to move on to the next chapter. And I went back to the US, starting my own life. And again, I worked as a caregiver in the US. And it was really a humbling experience for me, coach. And sabi ko nga, after the limelight of playing PBA, and then with all the fans and everything that's happening, sabi ko, eto na yung totoong buhay. Eto na yung all the while pinaghandaan ko na sana wag mangyari, but it's here now. So what are the opportunities here? And I was still working out. I was still doing basketball during weekends.
So second adversity, I mean, obviously we go through different types of adversities, but after that first big one where you were not signed in your rookie year, now you are out of contract.
Yes.
And we all know that's part of the life of any professional sports player, right? That there is a chance that you will be, out of contract, end of contract, and not get signed.
Yeah, it was. I got sidetracked with that. It wasn't really part of my grand plan, but it happened. And just like everything in life, things happen, that you don't want it to, but I'm looking for the opportunity there. And I was working already as a caregiver. I was there for 8 months already, coach. And somebody messaged me, Facebook, Friendster pa yata during that time. And asking me if, are you still in shape? And then sabi ko, yes. Yeah, sabi ko, even though I wasn't really in PBA ready shape, but I was in shape.
You
and
kept
that
yourself.
and that was Boss Dicky Bachman messaged me. And sabi niya sa akin, there's an opportunity here. Sabi niya, are you willing to take it? Coach, I was messaged on a Friday, I think, and I have to leave on a Monday.
Wow.
I left my job, which is really paying me well. And
we know that.
I paid for my own airfare. Sorry, Boss Diggy, but I have to throw it out.
Yeah.
But ang sabi pa sa akin ni Boss Dicky noon, there's no guarantee that we will resign you. Kumbaga, coach, playoffs yun eh. And that was playing against Talk and Text, but during that time, that was 2010. Oh, sorry, I think it was Ginebra. And so they took me in just for the quarterfinals. If we didn't make it, my contract is done. So sabi ko, sige, baka may chance pa ulit. Sabi ko, I might go grab it. I never hesitated, coach. I took the opportunity, went back to the Philippines, went directly to the office of Alaska then and just signed the contract. Never talked about the amount again. And, you know, lo and behold, that was the time we won the championship back in 2010.
Okay.
So the one...
Was that all Filipino or import?
That was when we had Diamond Simpson. So that was... So after that one conference contract, Alaska extended me for another year. So sabi ko, anong sign na naman to? Bakit meron? Sabi ko na nahimik na ako sa Amerika eh. I was like joking around nga with LA Tenorio and Sanito. Sabi ko, ako nagbigay sa inyo ng una yung championship. Because that was the first championship of LA Tenorio. And up to now, I always tell them, I gave them their rings. But kidding aside, so I was given one more year. And sidetrack lang, coach. Since you asked me earlier, I was always on the bench, right? Yeah. I already wanted to be a coach nung time na yun. But that was 2003. My first year in the PBA because of what I see with Coach Yeng.
Okay.
You know,
inspired you to
sobra coach. And even came to a point that my agent told me na sabi ni Coach Yeng, huwag ka masyado maingay sa bench. You know, Coach Yeng, ayaw na may iba nagsasabi. Sabi doon sa agent ko, Tony Sanko, sabi niya, Tony, sabi mo kay Topex, saka na siya mag-coach. Coach, that was my first few years in the PBA, but I was already, I already told myself, Coach, that I'm gonna be a head coach someday. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but now that I was with Coach Tim, sabi ko, eto na yung best opportunity.
Speaking of a sign.
Yeah, and I told this to Coach Tim, sabi ko, Coach, and it came to a point that I wasn't really happy already waking up doing what I love to do.
Mm-hmm. Which was playing.
Okay. I wasn't. It's not because I was hurt. I was still healthy in that time and really taking care of my body. But coaching was calling me, and this is what I told Coach Tim. Coach, I know I still have a contract, but is it okay that I'll start to, get myself into coaching since. And the opportunity to be under Coach Tim.
Of course.
It's a no-brainer.
Better, yeah.
And Coach, that was 2010.
Okay.
And then during that time, if now where Coach Tim is, it's in a different universe.
Ago. Grabe. Okay.
Yeah, but I said, this is the best opportunity for me. So sabi niya sa akin, okay, Coach, sabi ko, I still have a live contract as a player. Mm-hmm. Is it okay? And then he gave me an opportunity. But ang role ko lang nun, Coach, is mag-aabot lang ng bola kila Tony, De La Cruz, kila LA. I wasn't even allowed, kasi before we had a coach, you have it, you have your own coach's lounge. Yeah. I wasn't even comfortable going inside. Yeah, so
players lounge.
Yeah. That was back in Reyes Gym, sabi ko. Kasi I wasn't, ano yung pinag-uusapan nila. Basta sabi ko lang, sige, kung ano yung kailangan, abot lang ako ng bola. So that was how I started my coaching journey, Coach. And unfortunately, that was the last conference of Coach Tim with Alaska. Mm-hmm. So he transferred after that, and it gave me an opportunity now to go a notch higher with Coach Joel Banal as a head coach. So na move up kahit papano. I think I was a fourth assistant or fifth with Coach Dicky back then, Coach Jojo, that was Coach Luigi Trillo. So that's how I started being an assistant coach. And at the same time, that was my first coaching in San Sebastian, my alma mater.
Okay, then you were 5 years.
Yes.
Sa Alaska.
Yes. Years. So actually, I left
as an assistant.
2017. So that was around 6-7 years with Alaska.
But kailan ka nag-Lyceum?
I went to Lyceum 2016.
While you were with Alaska?
Yeah, while I was still with Alaska. The opportunity to go there was just really high on my list. And that was when I started to also coach, to be coaching yung sarili mong style. Kasi
yes, that's important to have your own team, di ba?
Yes, I was fortunate with Coach Yeng, Coach Leo Austria, Coach Ryan Gregorio, Coach Tim. But even I told this about you, coach, that I always look up to you as one of the guys that really, got me into coaching. Pero darating, coach, yung time that you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
And as much as you try to mimic, coach, my first few years in coaching, genggew ako. Kasi talaga genggew ako. But it came to a point that sabi ko, up now that I get to really respect the person, because for you to be in that level for so many years, I don't think I could be that guy. And
Correct.
I became who I am right now. I mean, I pick up from all of you guys, but sabi ko nga, you always have to have your personal brand. Kasi dun lalabas yung authenticity.
Yes.
Lalabas yung totoong ugali mo, and that's what the players want to see in you. Okay. They want you to be the real you, not the person that you perceive you are. Because just like in life, in coaching, there's gonna be a lot of ups and downs, and
Exactly.
and then I don't want them to see me to be a failure.
A pretender.
Yeah,
Trying
so-
hard to be.
So yun, coach, yung naging learning sa akin.
So that's a perfect segue to our next question, which is, so what is your coaching philosophy? Because we know, just from looking at you from afar and from some of the interviews that you have done, that you pay a special emphasis on love on in your teams. So talk to us about that, your philosophy and your brand.
Well, it's coach. It's about. I guess it kind of aligns with the players now that we have in our generation. We're a divided generation now because of social media. So how can you get closer, to the hearts of your players, and it's about building relationships. You have to make sure that you spend time with them. I think one thing I really enjoyed coaching college is nandiyan lang sila at your disposal, coach, di ba? I mean, I'm coaching the professionals. It's really hard to keep those players as much as long as you want. But I was fortunate. My first year in the PBA was in the bubble. So the second is when I saw you there, and so that really worked for me. Being relational to the players, being open to them, you get to know them on a deeper level, I guess, and also they also should know you in a deeper level. So that's where I guess I found my niche in coaching, and one of the things then, coach, that I really learned from you guys is how to also give responsibilities to your assistants. One of the things that I really took pride in getting my LaSalle position was I didn't hire assistant coaches. I hired head coaches. That really was the thing that really gave me a lot of knowledge. You don't wanna, you don't wanna be the smartest guy in the room. You wanna make those guys, get those smart guys and make you look smarter.
Yeah. So who's that? So was it Steve Jobs who said, we don't hire brilliant people and tell them what to do, right?
Yeah.
We hire brilliant people so that they can tell us what to do, help us. So going back to your coaching philosophy, the first is the focus on relationships, right? And then next you hire great people, you hire head coaches. That's a really good term. And I'm a big believer in it because again, not only when talking to coaches or sports coaches, but even when talking to executives, I tell them job number one when you're building your teams is to build strong trust-based relationships. And in fact, I have a term for that. We call that the ROR. When you build that, you have a strong return on relationships. Because in business, they all know return on investment, ROI, return on equity, return on asset, return on sales. Because if you build those relationships, the ROR, the return on that relationship is very vital. So you say that's number one in your coaching philosophy, and number two is your ability to hire also a great team around you, your coaching staff. Where does the love come in that in that mix?
You talked about trust, coach, and trust is a feeling. It's something you invest on. You put yourselves in situations that it's gonna be put into test. I mentioned earlier, coach, that yung happy go pag nananalo, team, one family.
Madali maging relationship pagka panalo.
Yeah, you always put it on your shirt like one team, one. Diba? but you always yell about family. But I mean, when you have your children, which is I would say your players, if one of them is not doing well, you don't tell your children na, sorry anak, I'll put you on adoption,
I have to
kukuha ako
cut
ng
you.
mas matalinong anak. You invest on finding ways to make them effective or to make them grow. And that's where I guess love comes from. Like you really love them as your own. When they're at harm, you always put yourself first. Throw yourself out there rather than to bail yourself out and throw your players, which are your kids, out there. And that's how it's been built. I mean, you go to a game that you're expected to win, you lose a game, you don't put the names of those players in harm's way. You put your name first. Take full responsibility of it and be ready for what comes after that. And I just like what I said kanina, Coach, it's a lot of situations wherein you really make them feel that they are being taken care of. And if they feel that they're being taken care of or they are safe, they start to take care of each other. And the time that they take care of each other, they take care of you.
That's how teamwork is built,
Yeah.
right? When they start caring for each other. How was that love tested? Now we're talking about adversity again. How was that love tested in the last season? Because that was not an easy ride, right? It was very rough. And I'm plugged in the alumni networks, and I know that there were times where the support, and that's not only for LaSalle. Every school is that way. When the school starts to lose, the first thing they're calling for is the coach, the head coach's head, your head. So how was that love?
Coach, only two things that I could share with you now that really was, I would say, an aha moment for us.
Mm-hmm.
First is our first game against our rival school, which is Ateneo. We were that was our third game of the season. So we played our first two games, which we won, and we were really highly touted as a strong team. And we played Ateneo during the time, and we lost to them. And I'll never forget this. I always tell the team that whatever happens, I will always be there to protect you guys. And you know how now that there are post game interviews.
Yep.
And it's always going to be the winning coach who's going to interview first, and then the losing coach will be interviewed last. And I'll never forget this when we played in MOA. So that was a long tunnel going to the press room, and I said, ano bang sasabihin ko sa press? I mean, at first, I don't know. I was lost for words because I just lost to the rival school, and it's really big. I know that.
Yep.
I know what I signed up
Matalo
for.
na lahat. Di ba? Matalo na lahat,
Yeah.
wag lang sa Ateneo. Matalo na lahat, wag lang sa LaSalle. Yeah.
What makes it worse, Coach, is we were really leading during that game,
Yep.
and then
I remember
a lot
that
of
game.
a lot of things went the other way, so we lost the game. And I was already like fixing things that I would say on the press. And once I sat on the table and I was asked this question, what happened? Everything just fell into place, and I said, Ateneo was the better team. Tab was a better coach. We lost to a better team. No words were said. I left, and then that was it. And obviously, you know how it goes, that you're gonna get calls from all over the world.
Of course.
Telling you what happened.
Uh-huh.
But what really transpired there was they found out, the players said, totoo si coach, kasi it was the best opportunity na para sabihin niya sa amin.
For you to point fingers.
Yeah, because I was a new kid on that block, because I was a new coach, and those guys have been there. So all of my players, except for the rookies, has been there in that situation. And that was one of the moments that really that relationship started. And so I took full responsibility of that loss, even though even other coaches told me, Coach, next time don't
Yeah.
wag mong kunin, wag mong akuin.
Well,
but I said
I disagree. Yeah. I think we have to take.
I said that to the team,
Yeah.
that I'll never throw it under the bus, and that happened. And second was our first game in the finals, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Tambak kay sa UP.
Prior to that, Coach, we were 9-0. We played our last game against UE in the first round, and after that we were undefeated.
Yeah.
So that was a 9-game winning streak coming to the finals and losing by 30 points in game 1 of the finals was really it was really hard, coach. It's because prior to that, I've never won a championship, coach, in college. Twice I was swept. When I was with San Sebastian, I got swept by San Beda. When I was at LPU, I got swept twice
Talaga?
by San Beda, coach. And that that game, etong masaya dun, coach. So post-game interview again, you lost by 30, and sabi ko, okay lang, I still have game 2 or game 3 if ever it's gonna happen. But one of our media friends asked me, Coach, is it LPU again in the making? So I would say, Coach, during that night, that was the lowest of my lows. And I was even asking, like, bakit ba ako nandito? What's my purpose? What's my cause? What's my belief? Bakit, if you want me to succeed, bakit mo ako nilalagay sa ganito? I really asked God what's wrong. And I'll never forget this. 2 in the morning, I got a message from one of my players, and he said, Coach, sorry, bawi tayo. I love you, sabi niya. And sabi ko, that was the answer. Sabi ko, pag meron kang ganong player na nagsabi sa'yo, mahal kita, sabi ko, laban na ako dito. I mean, I'll take it to heart. And game 2 happened, and just like what happened, the rest was history. And after the championship, this player told me, champion tayo, coach. And that was Kevin Kembao. And then
I was just going to say, just ba niya KQ?
And I asked him,
You know why I know? Because he does the same to me.
Yeah.
When we were with Gil.
yeah, so sabi ko, I asked him about it. Sabi ko, after all the things that happened, so we got the chance to talk again. Sabi ko, bakit mo sinabi yun? Sabi niya, Coach, sa totoo lang po, nung dumating ka, gusto ko lang mag-champion dahil sa akin, para sa akin. But after nangyari sa atin, sabi niya, hindi lang para sa akin, gusto ko rin mag-champion ka kasi alam ko hindi ka pa nag-champion. Because they know my career. I always
story, yeah.
I think, Coach, when you talk about love, you be in a space where you could be open, you could be vulnerable, and not being afraid to be judged by your peers. And that's the environment that we've set. And that's why I really believe in love, because you could be yourself. And I always tell this to my team, that bring your ego to the room, because I always want to be we want to coach the whole of you rather than
And
to
not
be
just the player.
the less of you. Yeah. So we bring our own egos, and from those our egos, let's see how we could make a beautiful tune together. And it's always about being true to ourselves, being real, being ourselves, and not wearing a mask coming into practice or coming into games. I get nervous, I get scared, which is I guess normal in our field. Like when the games are really big, I really get nervous, Coach. I'm sure
If we don't get nervous before games, it's time to retire, right? It's time to hang it up. Yeah.
so it's just being myself, and that's what I love about the environment that they've set.
So I wanted to double click on that, because a lot of people, one of the coaching cliches is check your ego at the door, right? So you're going the opposite way. So no, bring your ego into the room, because we like your ego, we love your ego, and we are going to find a way to make all our egos work together. So fantastic. 3 lessons from Coach Topex in his coaching philosophy. Number 1 is you talked about always the ano yung sinabi mo yung unang-una before relationships. No, that was the first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the 3 lessons from Coach Topex. Number 1 is the relationships, work on building trust-based relationships. Number 2, build a great coaching staff, a great team around you. Hire head coaches, do not hire assistants. And number 3, the power of love. Bring your egos into the room. I think that's a great way to encapsulate your story so far. And that is, is it fair to say that's the Topex Robinson brand? That's your
I would
brand
love
right
to.
now.
I would
Yeah.
love to put a brand into it, but
Yeah.
Coach, I think it's. I'm still learning.
But you're still a work in
Yeah,
progress.
Coach,
Yeah,
and
correct. I mean, we
Still,
should
it's
never,
still.
yeah.
I always bug you sometimes, Coach. I mean, I'll never forget the time that I saw you in that bubble, and I was so happy to see you there
Clark,
because
yeah.
you know I always want to compete with the best, and I always try to find ways to learn from you guys. And isa yun sa mga bagay that I would say one of the things that would really make you great is to always have that your cup is empty and keep on learning from other things. Don't close your thoughts or your to just because you've won a championship or you've won games that means you're the coach of the world already. And I guess always finding ways to learn. I guess
So
those
maybe that's the last piece of the coaching philosophy and the brand of Coach Topex is the continuous learning, self-development. We call that in our business the growth mindset. So you talked about the adversities first, not being picked being picked but not making a team in the draft. Then the second was getting cut, not having a contract, and then third was this the last season with LaSalle, the lowest point in your career, as you call it, when you got beat by 30 points. If you think about it now, what are the three things, one or two, maybe three things that you could share with your audience that allowed you to cope with that? When you were going through that at that point, ano yung pinanghawakan mo, what got you through it?
Well, I think, Coach, one of the if there's one or a couple of more, it's you have to be clear with why you do what you do and where's
Why are you doing? What's your why? Okay.
Because I would say that's my North Star. I mean, I know that coaching is something that I love to do, and it has really brought me, to places that I've never been to experiences that I've never been to. And looking back now at my life, I mean, the experiences that I had, the challenges, those are the things that I could share now with my players, and that really has brought me to where I am right now. It's about, I mean, I always tell my players, since my Google na, try to look me up. It's not not because to brag about what I've achieved, but because of how I pulled through with what was given to me. I guess being clear with my why and being articulate about it, and I could really share it with the world is really something that I always hold on to.
So what is that now? If you
It's about,
what is your why? Yeah.
Lumang ano na siya, Coach, but if you really wanted to do something and hindi masamang mangarap, if there's really something that you wanted to do with your life, make sure that you're gonna be all in whatever it is that you want to achieve. Sometimes that ambition might reroute you to a bigger scale. But holding on to that dream.
So at that point, on that night that you lost by 30, how did that help you? Just getting back in touch with it? Nung
Yes.
tinanong mo sa sarili mo?
Actually, Coach, I always tell this that mas marami nga akong pinagdaan na mabigat dito eh.
Exactly.
And sabi ko nga, I know that it is another thing that I could share, just like what we're having now. It's another story that I could articulate.
It's part of the process.
Yes, Coach.
It's supposed to be hard, right?
Yes, Coach. And just like I said, if you want to do something meaningful or fulfilling, you have to embrace hard. It's one of the things that.
yeah.
Because if you want to be easy, it's okay. You're just gonna be here. But if you want to do something that others that cannot do, it's hard. It's really hard.
Nothing significant was achieved that was hard.
And then
right? So-
just mixing up everything that I just shared, it's always about making yourself valuable, Coach.
Yeah.
Always investing in yourself and not shortchanging yourself, I guess.
So in our line of work, when I talk to leaders and I work with teams, executive leadership teams, I always tell them you have to start with your purpose, with your why, because the larger your why, the harder you will try. And I'm sure that you've learned that lesson in real life. So now, just wrapping it all up, what are the 3 lessons that you can share from all those adversities that you've gone through, from all your experiences, player, coach, everything else, even as a family man and all that? What are the...
I think, Coach, if one of the things that I could really share with our audience is, it's nothing in life that you really wanted is really gonna come in easy. And first, that's one, and the reason why it's hard, is if you're gonna do it alone.
Okay.
I guess having that support group, wherever you could get it,
Okay.
is really gonna be important, because that will really, hold you forth to wherever it is that you wanna achieve. Ang sinasabi nila kasi palagi, which I really disagree, is it's lonely on top. Coach, it's always been a word that I heard before, na malungkot daw sa taas. The reason why it's lonely because you don't bring people with you.
With you, yeah.
Yeah, and for me, leadership is all about, bringing people to a place that they cannot go alone.
It's only lonely at the top if you don't bring
Yeah.
people with you. Now, if you do not bring people with you, you will find that you will not stay at the top for long.
So I guess
so
that's
the
very.
second, yeah. What's
for me.
another lesson?
I
that you
think
yeah.
for me it's always, again, being humble enough to really ground yourself, and really being grateful. I think being grateful for what you have or what you achieve is really something that will move you forward. And I always tell this, that even earlier, Coach, that it's always about running your own race. Being grateful for what you have. What you don't have also, because it's something that's gonna be your inspiration to really do something great. And I guess that's really something that I really hold forth, and doing something for others. Coach, being of service to others.
Yes.
And sabi nga nila, we're in the people's business. We're whichever
We are.
field that you are.
Yep, we are.
You're always in the people's business, and you always make sure that you always be a servant leader.
Okay, Coach. We always one of my advocacies is future fit leadership, and part of that is I have our leadership framework, which I call the heart of a leader, because, like you said earlier, for us today, the Gen Z players and even the employees of today, we have to capture not only their minds and spirits but their heart, and to do that, you have to you have to treat them as a whole person, and you have to lead with your whole person as well. So I put a leadership framework together, acronym HEART, heart. At the very core, the core of that, the starting point of all great leadership, the letter H of heart is health, physical health. Because my belief is that the foundation of all great leadership is you have to be in good health. Because how can you lead if you're not even fit enough to lead? If you're always on sick bay, how can you lead, right? So one of my advocacies really is fitness. So share with us your fitness routine. Yeah, we don't expect people to be elite athlete shape, but what is your fitness routine?
Coach, I think again, you're a brand at the end of the day. You sell your own self. You cannot tell players to run or to get in shape if you yourself is not in shape.
Yes,
so I really put so much investment in taking care of my body. This is our temple, and then you really put so much love to it, because it will not love you back.
Correct.
So making sure that you do your workout, you stay healthy, you stay active, because of the demands of our job. So
what's a typical daily day for you?
pretty much doing a lot of workout, running, lifting weights.
So you lift weights and you cardio, running is your cardio.
I lift weights with my players. Part of having them having conversations,
having that bonding as well, right?
And so I really do lift a lot lately. Been running now, going back to running again. Not much biking anymore. So I try to change my routine from time to time. But having an active lifestyle, I guess, is really something that I put.
How is your nutrition, your diet? Yeah.
Been doing a lot of experiments, finding the right fit. I guess there's always gonna be a one size. It cannot be a one size fits all. It has to be varying your what you do, your lifestyle, your work. So I do fasting. I do a lot of fasting. Right now, I'm challenging myself sometimes to a 36-hour fast.
Okay.
I've done my 24, working on my 48. So,
wow. Okay.
So that's really something that I really am putting, just trying to really make sure that I take care of my body, because it's really a demanding, or it's really a demanding job. So
What are the benefits you find when you do that, when you're doing your fasting and you've worked out and you've
I think you're sharp, coach. Your reaction, your
so
thinking.
mentally, you see the
you
effects
become-
mentally.
I do a lot of meditating. I do a lot of writing. Journaling. So just trying to make sure I check all the box on how to take care of your body at this level, how to be always in tip-top shape, I guess, not only physically, with everything, coach, because this is really, especially our season is about to start. So you want to look good,
Sleep.
Oh, yes, coach. And you know what I always been up to is I always make sure I have an advantage to other coaches. So I always wake up at around 4 a.m. knowing that most coaches are still sleeping.
Except
Only a few, but there's always gonna be you always have to also sleep early. So
Yes.
so being sleeping at 9 in the evening is really
For
I
you,
think for
that's your-
me.
yeah.
Social media coach.
Coach Yuri was 8 p.m. sabi. Aga naman.
Yeah,
yun.
I
But
can.
you're-
Yeah, so there's always because we practice in the afternoon. So we practice for till 7 or 8. So I get home by around that time. So
Then you want to be bed at 9.
yes, and then I guess because of the generation we're in, being out of that social media challenge
Yes.
is really something that I value. I mean, getting out of that gadgetry is really something that I really am.
That's
yeah.
gold. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so while the others are busy with their social media, I'm really taking advantage of that and investing.
Tinutulog mo na lang.
Yeah, I read a lot, coach.
Yes.
Been journaling a lot also.
Good. So, take it from the coach how important a fitness regimen is. Like we always say, you gotta be well to do well. So, powerful lessons from Coach Topex to all our listeners. And this applies not only to sports, but to business, everyday life. Three of his biggest lessons. Number one, know that it's going to be hard. Nothing worth achieving is going to come easy. Number two, bring people with you. The value of having a good support team, making sure you build a great team around you and make sure that you bring them with you along the way. And number three, the power of humility. The humility to say that I'm a servant leader, that I'm not the brightest person in the room, and I'm here to serve. The power of service, humility, and I think all of those things are the main lessons that Coach Topex has learned through all the adversity, where we are welcoming him now and championing him now for all of his success. But I think the more impressive elements are the learnings from his adversity. Final question, and we never end without this final question. What is your superpower?
I guess I have a good, I would say, visualization, coach. Just so you'll know, remember I always tell you that I want to either play for you or coach with you, and I cannot just be leaving this opportunity to really look at this opportunity that this is how close that I could get to you. And remember, I always look up to you as one of the guys that really got me into coaching, and just sharing this time with you is really something that I really value. It's so important to me because the power of dreams is really true. And then as long as you're clear with what you want to do with your life, people with the same vision will find its way to connect with you. And I'm just so honored to be here, coach. And I would say that I'll keep on dreaming. I'll keep on believing in what the power of service is, of love is, and try to see where my journey will be. And I'm just so, just now imagining that I'm gonna see this.
Yeah.
Having
so
this
by
learning.
visualization, you say that all of the success you've achieved so far, you've already seen before.
Yes,
right?
that's power of really reaching for that, not just dreaming of it, but taking action. And then thank you, coach, for this opportunity.
My
that I
pleasure. Thank you for giving us the time. I know you're very busy. You have practice. You're on the quest to defend your crown. We wish you all the best. Again, my alma mater is going to hate me for saying that, but this is part of what we do here at Coaching Chronicles, where we have hopefully profound conversations with the men and women who have been in the arena, who have been bloodied, who sweat, they perspire, they know the agony of defeat, but they also know the sweetness of victory. But through it all, I think what the common denominator is that the men and women in the arena would rather be in the arena competing and fighting and battling instead of just being spectators and watching. And I think this episode was just a great time for us to learn from a person who was just in a very tough arena, and now we are going to look forward to his future battles as the UAP unfolds in a couple of weeks' time from today. So we wish you all the best. Good luck. And hopefully after the next season, we'll get you back in this podcast. So thank you,
Thank you,
Coach
thank you, thank you.
Topex. It was a pleasure. Certainly learned a lot.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Appreciate it.